Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Jennifer's Perspective. And this afternoon, my very special guest is Dr. Twanna Carter. Dr. Carter was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army. When she graduated from college, she served a tour in Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm from 1990 to 1991. Dr. Twanna first started her career coaching while in the military. She spent over 6 years helping veterans find jobs while working for the Department of Veterans Services in the mid 2000s. And in 2010, she opened her first business, JBC Counseling and Consulting, LLC. Dr. Twanna attended Capella. She attended Capella University, where she received a PhD in Human Services May 20, May 2014. Now, her studies centered on the families of National Guards and Reserve Service members who had been deployed. Dr. Twanna admits that she was late in finding her passion because of social anxiety and fear of transition. Also, a career transition coach, Dr. Twanna split off Twanna Carter Professional and Personal Coaching, LLC, from her consulting business in 2018. In the second business, Dr. Twanna specializes in helping high achieving professional women over the age of 40 overcome the fear and anxiety that comes with transitioning into a new career. She feels passionate about coaching professional women to find their dream career that aligns to their true purpose and then seamlessly transition into their new career with confidence and excitement. Good afternoon and welcome, welcome, welcome. Say hello, Dr. Tawana.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome, Jennifer. Much
You're
appreciated.
welcome. You're welcome. Um, can you just tell me, even though I read your bio, but let me applaud you because as a single mom, you are a doctor with a PhD. And do you mind telling me a little bit of your transitional journey to your PhD, to owning your own company, well, to owning two companies, and then moving forward?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when people hear me, they don't know that I am from the South, born in Alabama, and I'm an Army brat. I started traveling with my dad in 1972. First spot we landed in was Germany. And they put me in speech therapy classes because they said I couldn't speak, right?
Really?
I had to take speech therapy for a minute. I told people I'm a special ed kid, special education. They pulled me out of the class and they had to work with me to teach me to speak, to pronounce consonants and all those things. So I never felt comfortable with me.
Hmm.
And that started even back as young as 4 or 5. And now I know it was anxiety.
Wow.
I
Really?
I I had worse self-worth and self-esteem issues even from a young child. I thought all of my cousins were better than me and all my friends' cousins were better than me. And I had that same outlook throughout school, high school, and college, and well into my first job. Okay, let's say well into my 30s. I had that less than because when
Hmm.
before, for God's sake, they had to teach me how to talk. I couldn't even talk. The normal kids did that. No, I had to go learn how to talk. So I completely saw myself as less than. And
Can I ask you a question?
yes,
Was it the accent or the enunciation? Because there's a
so
difference.
I I asked my mom that when I got into high school. I said, "Do you remember why would they pull me out like that?" As my mom said, "Yeah, they probably did that to all people from the South, right?" So I had a Southern drawl, but from what I remember with working with the speech pathologist, is I could not place my tongue in the right place to say the consonants, but also had buck teeth. And I know you can't see me, but I had double rows of teeth everywhere. So my teeth were a hot mess, right? And I ended up getting braces. So very self-conscious because my teeth were horrible, but it also led me to not be able to speak properly. And so
Mhm.
I gather it was a mixture of that. But in those days, they didn't even tell your parents because my mom was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, they can't got me out of class." We're a lot different now when we do special education than we were, when I was in school in Stone Ages, right?
Mhm.
But those things, from my looks and the way I spoke, I just always felt less than. Even through my first degree, I have a biology, a BS degree in zoology, a minor in chemistry, and an undeclared minor in military history. I still felt less than. I felt less than. I didn't graduate summa cum laude. I didn't graduate magna cum laude. I only graduated cum laude. So I still felt less than. And that's how I started my career. Less than. I felt less than everybody around me. And it is very difficult to succeed and to lead and be the person that you need to be when you feel you are less than. Right.
Mhm.
And so I had these thoughts. And also, I had a little secret that I had never told anybody until I got into my 40s, right? I now know it's social anxiety, but I was terrified to speak to people. I was terrified to speak up, terrified to walk across a room, terrified sometimes of going to a grocery store by myself. Never went to the movies by myself. I was terrified. I wouldn't go to a restaurant by myself at one time because I was so afraid of being judged. So you pile on all that stuff, and here I am, brand new second lieutenant, going to the army. Yeah, that. So there, it's still a man's world. It was still a man's world, and I was there. And there's a certain amount of machismo and bravado that goes on. I didn't have any of that, right? I did not have any of that. So there compounded my feelings of less than. And I'm an introvert. So I had no desire to stand in front of people and be in charge and tell people and yell at people. That was not me. And so the military ended up being just this huge mismatch, right? For me, it was a mismatch. I didn't understand it wasn't for me. I just felt, see, less than, confirmed it, not worth anything, not good enough, right? And even
That's
when
some serious self-esteem. Oh my gosh.
yes,
Well,
yes.
when did you start loving yourself and realizing that you were enough just because you existed?
So I actually discovered that I had social anxiety when I went to my master's course. I have a master's in counseling. And I was sitting there, took a class on the diagnostic statistical manual, which is DSM, they call it the DSM, we're up to 5 now. Was at the 4 then, and I was doing a homework assignment and was reading about social anxiety, and just I stopped and I froze. I was like, this is me. Wait a minute. I am not crazy because I never told anybody. I was ashamed. I was ashamed of being afraid to speak up, to stand up for myself. So I never told anybody. I just thought I was secretly crazy. And I
Hmm.
didn't want people to get too close to me to figure out this girl is crazy. But when I saw it in the book, you're laughing, but I promise you, I was like, I
You
didn't
know
want
why
people
I'm
to.
laughing? Because listen, I've been there. I've been there and I totally understand because I had my own challenges that I had to overcome to the point where I didn't feel like I was worthy or enough. But it's right
Yes.
now you have the microphone.
Yes. So when I realized what I had was social anxiety, it had a name. And if it had a name, I could fix it. And so for the first time in my life, I was like, holy freaking cow. I, I can, And I just started studying. I started researching. Once I found the name for it, I started pulling up articles and I was reading. I was like, these people, it's as if they wrote this article about me, like they've been with me for 30 something years of my life. And so at that point, I realized it had a name. I could fix it and I could do better. But also what it told me was, you're not crazy. You just have this thing called social anxiety. And
Mm-hmm.
actually going through my counseling program, I learned to accept other people for their mental illnesses, but I had to start with me first.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what the program, part of what you get in a counseling program, you accept people as they are and you just take them for where they are and you help them to get to where it is they want to be. And so I accepted them and I was like, well, shoot, I can accept me too. And then I realized when I look back over the years that I wasn't crazy. I wasn't less than. Everyone else was better than me. I just had social anxiety that I never got treated. And there are strategies
Ah.
that you can use. And I was like, if I had known this, I would have known how to act then. I would have known what to do when I need to speak up to people instead of hiding out in the background and letting people walk over me and feeling like, well, I'm less than, so it's okay. People wouldn't walk over me if I wasn't less than, so they're walking over me because I'm not good enough. I realized that, no, you have this thing called social anxiety, and there are strategies that you can use to get around that. One of the ones that I had to learn was humor. When people humor, because people point, I was a tall kid, tallest in school, skinny. So people did point and laugh, but I learned to laugh at myself through humor. And that would take the sting out. And so that was a big piece of how I learned to overcome social anxiety. I would tell funny stories. Now, I can't tell a joke because I laugh too hard and you never even figure out what I'm trying to say. But I can tell a mean story now. I can tell a funny story. And so I learned to speak in stories and tell stories. Everybody loves a story. When I do career transition coaching, all I'm doing is coaching women to tell their story to a hiring manager in a way that hiring manager wants to hire them. We tell stories all the time. That was a big way that I learned. I told funny stories. I told humor stories, some of them about me, some of them made up or some I heard somewhere else, right? But I could tell a story and I would look out in front of people and people would be enthralled with the story. They didn't care about me. It would be with the story. And I was like, So when I'm nervous, I can tell a story and get the heat off me. And then people are into the story. And I will go like, you don't want to hear it. It's like, no, keep going. People were enthralled in the story. Right? So when you can laugh at yourself, it takes the sting out of being judged. Because basically it's like, I'm a human. I'm infallible. I'm fallible rather. I make mistakes. Guess what, everybody? I made a big old mistake this time. It's not the end of the world, but you can judge me if you want to, but I'm not going to judge myself. And
Nice.
that was the turnaround, because I also got messaging as a kid that you're not good enough. And I know that it wasn't how family and friends of family, it wasn't their intent to program, but they did. And so there was programming that I got that kind of confirmed my bias. People told me I would never be anything. So I was like, I'm afraid to speak up to people. I'm afraid to do this. So they must be right, because they were adults when they said that. And I came up during that time when adults said it, it was true. It was like 100% true. You never questioned it. So I never questioned when people said I would never be anything. But about that time that I was in my master's program and realized it, I was like, not on this side of hell am I going to live down to anybody's expectations. I will never. I stopped right here. And I haven't looked back since then.
Listen, can I also ask you, what was your motivation for your education? Because it's like you just kept on because you felt less than.
If everything around me, or I felt everything about me was a failure, I could learn. It didn't depend, and I say it didn't depend on anybody. Of course, I would learn from the teacher, but I was too afraid to ask questions. I was not going to raise my hand in the classroom and ask any teacher a question. So I actually, from a very early age, taught myself to struggle and figure it out. There were parts of algebra, and I told people, because I tutor algebra, right? I've tutored algebra, but when I first saw, came and ran into algebra, it was like a Greek language to me, and I was like, "Here we go again." But I would not tell the teacher I didn't know, so I had to figure out on my own how to get algebra. On my own, how to get geometry, on my own, and how to get trigonometry. So people would tell me I was smart, but I never believed I was smart until I was teaching school and working on my teacher certification. I never believed it. I just felt that at some point they were going to catch me in a smart class and say, that girl right there doesn't belong here. She's a fake. I always felt that imposter syndrome. However, I know I could learn. I didn't care if I didn't understand what the teacher told me. I know on my own, I could go back and figure it out. So I'm a lifelong learner. I love it. So I got the bachelor's degree because I came up under that old career, career counseling, career coaching, when they tell you, oh, get a degree and get a job and work there for 30 years and retire. That's how you do it. I came up under that system. So my first degree I got because of that. The second degree I got because I finally figured out that I could do better than what I was. And I wanted better for my kids. So I got the master's degree, and also some pushing from my loving sister. She was like, look, if I can get a master's degree, you can too. You're smarter than me. But if you don't get the master's degree, don't call me up on the phone whining and crying about what you don't have and what your children don't have and where you are in life, because I don't want to hear it. Literally, she said that. I was like, okay, well, let me go check out this master's level thing, because again, I didn't think I was smart enough. So I was like, master's or degrees are for smart people. They're not for people like me. But after my sister kind of read me the right ad, a couple of months
got your MBA,
and I got a master's degree in counseling. And then I was in the federal system and I couldn't get the jobs that I wanted to do. It's always, you don't have. And I was like, you know what? So here's what we're going to do. I did the research for the people who had the jobs that I wanted. And I looked at, the backgrounds they need, the education they need. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm going to get a PhD, and nobody ever is going to tell me what I can't do. Part of that, though, was also why education was important. My dad was amazing, and so was my mom. My dad was amazing because he, quote unquote, allowed my mom to go to school in the 60s. A lot of men were like, no.
Let's support your dad.
My dad sometimes would take us to the babysitter so my mom could go to a certified nursing assistant school. So I loved my mom, and I so looked up to her. So a huge part, a chunk of my life, about 4 or 5 years old, I saw my mom get up, get dressed. Either she dropped us off at the babysitters, or my dad did, and my mom got in the car and went to school. I was like, well, I'm doing that too. My entire life, I said, well, I'm going to be a doctor. My parents did not say, you're going to go to college, you're going to do this, but I was like, I'm going to college. It's just what I saw, and I figured it puzzled me for a long time. Why did I have this push to go to school? So it's a couple of things. It is what I saw my mom do. And as an adult, I saw my dad agree to it. So kudos to him. I cannot tell you enough how a man 68, 69 said, yes, go ahead and go to nursing aid. Because my mom dropped out of school to have me at 15, right? She got married at 15 and had me at 16. So for my dad to say, yes, go. My mom has a nursing degree. She got a nursing degree at 53. She passed away, but she got a nursing degree at 53. And my dad sat at the table with her night after night, tutoring her because my mom had a math phobia. So again, my dad was like, yes, go. Yes, go.
That's the support. Oh my gosh. Right? Awesome.
Right? Then I knew that if I couldn't do anything else in the world, I can learn. It didn't depend on anybody else. I didn't even have to ask anybody else. I struggled with it until I got it. Right. And then like doors totally opened up when I realized I had social anxiety because the group thing. I was like, oh, I can learn in a group now. I hated group work before that. I didn't want to speak. I didn't want people to figure out that, maybe I wasn't as smart as everybody else said I was, or that again, I thought I was crazy. So I didn't do group work well in college or school. I didn't do group work at all. I didn't do it well. But with, my master's program, I finally figured out how to fit in a group and to learn in a group. Right. And so again, the PhD was because I'm charting my own course. Nobody's going to tell me what I can or can't do. And that was part of the reason why I resigned, my 6-figure job from the federal government. I don't want you telling me what job I can or can't have. I will always do my own thing when I want to do it, how I want to do it. So now I own 2 businesses because I'm going to do my own thing, how I want to do it, the way I want to do it, and serve the people that I want to serve in the manner in which I want to serve them. It just gives you such freedom to be able to do that.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. Now, who is your niche avatar or target market? Do you serve veteran women that was either once in the U.S. Armed Services, or
so
do you coach anyone?
So my target audience are professional women over 40 who are looking to transition. That is either from the military to what we call civilian life, or women who are in corporate but don't want to be there anymore, or people in nonprofit that want that promotion, or they want a management position with more responsibilities, but they either have social anxiety, or they're an introvert, or they have some doubt about whether they can. They want to, but there's just something that consistently holds them back, and they feel that they're stuck. So my clients have been former military women, right? I have a recent client. She is, oh my gosh, she is all that in a bag of chips. 20 years in the Marine Corps, a 20-year veteran, just astounding, right, background, astounding experiences through 20 years in the Marines. And so I told her about my program. Yeah, I do career transition coaching for women. She said, okay. And she told me, she said, I really didn't think of anything about it when you said it, because she and my sister friends. And she said, I started having some anxiety about going into the corporate world. Who am I? I've been in the military for 20 years, for God's sake. I don't know anything about corporate. I've told soldiers what to do for the last umpteen years. What do I know about going to corporate? And then she said, oh, wait, that career train. She said she did that. So she came on board, and I'm telling you, oh my gosh, she was working on her master's degree. She got a job in her capstone. She got a paid internship in her capstone for her master's degree. So she hadn't even completed the degree yet. She got the internship and a full job offer when it was finished. And that was just one of the 2.
Awesome.
I had to help her find her voice. And so I do have a 3-tier program. It's a VIP program because everybody deserves to be a VIP, right? So my program is about helping women find their voice at tier 1, figure out what their identity is, remove the self-doubts and the limiting beliefs so they know what their identity is, and then helping them determine what is my purpose or purposes. Because I have to remind people, you can have more than one purpose. Some people spend years, or they're so afraid, I'm never going to find my one purpose, when actually they've been living a purpose or several. They just didn't know it, or they didn't realize they could have more than one purpose. So we did that with her, right? And when she, we were done, actually before we were done with the program, she was just infused with this confidence. It's like, girl, you were Marine Corps for 20 years. Yes, you got confidence. And yes, you can do the corporate world. But what I told her, she had to do it on her own terms, not anybody else's. She needed to do it on her term, what fit her and what she felt comfortable with. And that's where I messed up when I did my transition from the military to corporate. I was trying to fit in somebody else's model. I was trying to fit in some extrovert person who was, extrovert out there. And I just thought I had to do that. And it wasn't me. And so I was interviewing for these jobs and being offered jobs. And they were offering me the job. And I'm sitting, in my mind going, oh my God, no. I don't want to do this. No. I didn't know I hadn't accepted myself as I was. And so there I was trying to interview as this other person, and she wasn't me. It didn't fit. I ended up taking a job that made half of what I was making in the military, and I fell back into poverty. And it took me almost 2 decades to dig out. But in that digging out, I came across the social anxiety, and I got the master's degree. And like I said, I haven't looked back. I founded my first business 5 years after my master's degree, and then I founded my second company, the coaching, Twanna professional personal coaching, 8 years after that, and I put my name on it. Now, a lot of people don't know my first business is named after my mom, because that was my limiting belief. I can't start a business because I can't find a name. And if I can't find a name, there's no sense in me going through this process to get a license. So that was a limiting belief for about 2 years. I even had the application for the license and couldn't make myself fill it out, right? So I was like, okay, we're everybody else did this, you can do this too. Then I couldn't find a business name. I had the application, couldn't find a business name. And my mom passed September 26, 2010. And so
My condolences.
Thank you. A couple of weeks after she passed, about 2 weeks or so after she passed, I said, I got my name. I have a name. So the JBC stands for Janelle Bush Carter Counseling and Consulting Company. It's named after my mom.
Nice.
Right? And so it's a tribute to her, because she was a very compassionate person. Even though as a child, at different times, she was mentally abused, physically abused, she turned out to be this compassionate woman her entire life. Now, don't get me wrong, she didn't take anything. I call her my Amazon warrior. She did not take anything from anybody, but she was so compassionate. She figured out, embodied in one person, this ultimate compassionate person who was like, oh no, you're not going to do XYZ. We're going to toe the line. We're going to do it like this. She melded both and was such a wonderful, compassionate nurse, right? Mm-hmm. So I named my practice after her. And so whenever I feel like, oh, and it's like, no, you are upholding a standard with this woman, you're going to do it. I'm particular about my counseling business. But the problem I had was I hid behind the name. And it's a great name, right? I did all my marketing in JBC Counseling. I did everything in JBC Counseling, but you had no clue who I was, because I was still hiding out. I was hiding out in the background. So when I decided 3 years ago to, here I go on this name thing again, I got to have a name for the coaching company or else I can't pull it out. And so I was trying all these different names, and I was like, you know what? I'm done with hiding in the shadows. The name of the company is mine. It's Twanna Carter Professional and Personal Coaching. So everything that I do with this company, every time people see this name, they see me. And guess what? That's okay. I don't have to hide in the shadows. But when I want to, I can, but I don't have to. It's my choice.
Oh my gosh, that's such a wonderful story. Oh my gosh, your journey has been amazing. Now that you have found your voice and you've gotten over the social anxiety and you have your 2 companies, what type of programs do you offer?
So with my, and let me make it clear, is that we don't, at least I don't practice. I never say I cure anxiety or social anxiety. I teach people how to manage it, and I teach them how to live with it, right? Because I still
There's a difference. There's a difference,
right? I still have it. So there are some things I still struggle with. So I have a coach, right? I have several coaches because I still struggle. So we don't cure it, but we teach people to manage it. And I call it out when I see myself procrastinating, and I was like, you know what that is? It's social anxiety. Get up off your duff and do XYZ, one small step at a time. So it's, I manage it to not let it stop me from doing what I want to do. Right. And so for my counseling program, I do anxiety coaching. Anxiety counseling. I do relationship counseling. I see people, couples, individuals, and I also have our anger management program. I have a 4-month-long anger management program that I do under the umbrella of my counseling. And it is recognized by court systems. And so that when people go through the program, I offer a certificate, I offer letters, they sign, they have to sign releases, but I can offer letters to employers, to courts saying like, yes, they came through to the anger management course, and they're good to go. So I do that in groups as well as one-on-one, because some people don't want everybody to know they have anger management issues, and some people will prefer a group because people can learn from each other. So that's on the counseling side of the house. On the coaching side of the house, this month I do have a special. I have my VIP career makeover / pivot. So this is for the lady who understands that I've done well in the job that I'm in. I've done well in the career that I'm in, but I am ready to do something else. And they've known it for a while, but just hesitant to take that first step. They may not know where to start. They may only know, I don't want to do this. I just don't know what I want to do. I just know I'm not happy here. And oftentimes people feel stuck. I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60. What else am I going to do? This is the only thing I've known all my life. Or who's going to take me on in another career, 180-degree turnaround doing something else? You'd be surprised. I like to tell women, I got a job and I had never held the job before. Now, I studied about it, right? I hadn't done that job before for the federal government. But what I did know how to do is reach back to my skill sets, all my transferable skills from 20-something years of career, and I pull those suckers out that was apropos for the job I needed. I pull them all out and said, here's what I know how to do in my past. Now, I haven't done it for that system. I've done that before. I haven't done it over here, but I've done it before for this company, over here, in the military, here, there. People find that very difficult to do, and I call it my specialism, because I knew how to do that as a second lieutenant in the Army. Don't ask me how it just came. It was intuitive. My soldiers would come to me, ma'am, should I get out or should I stay? And intuitively, I could tell this, I was like, look, you're wasting your time in the military. These people are going to pay you double what you're making now. I think you should go, jump on it, take the risk, go for it. Or like, you are in the best place for you ever. You need to do your 20 right here in the military. But it was intuitive, and it was based on the soldier I was talking to. And I never got it wrong, because it was intuition after knowing that soldier and knowing what their dreams are and knowing what their hopes are, knowing what their purpose was. I never got it wrong. So it's just something that came to me. I didn't know it at the time that they called it career coaching, right? Or career counseling. It's like, I had no idea that's what it was called, or transition coaching. No idea. I just could sit with people and feel when they were not happy. And I could feel when they struggle with words to say what they wanted to do. I could just feel that and say, have you thought about this? Because it's this, it's that, and the other. And they're like, oh yeah. And sometimes it's like, go research this, that, and that. And they will come back and go, it's like this job was made for me. Right. So that's an intuitive thing that I do, that I help women do. And I help them clear up that doubt, because that's what it is. We fear making a mistake. We fear, if I leave this and I fail, everybody's going to laugh at me, or I have social anxiety. People are going to judge me. So I'm able, through, intuition and working from my background and what I know, to help resolve that doubt, help resolve that fear, and then help them choose the course that's best for them. Right. And I never tell people, oh, you should do that. I point out, and I may give a couple of windows and say, either one of these could fit. What do you think? And so they're like, how did you know? I've been wanting to do this for years. How did you know that? It's just an intuition I have when I speak to people.
Well, I think with most coaching, I guess with me, when I coach my own clients, I can, I have that intuition, and I can say that it is spirit is leading, and spirit, because I put God in everything. And I say, God, you're my silent partner. And I always invite God into every session, and I'm like, okay, then. So I get it, because now you're helping these women using your intuition to clarify what it is that they would like to do. And I think a lot of women, I guess when I first started, I didn't even know what like business coach, transition coach, shame resistant coach, what is that? And the more that I started to speak with my business coaches and my other mentors and everything like that, I realized, this is what I do. Now, with your program, you offer a 6-week what is it? A 6-month?
Right. So depending on the level that they come in, I do have 3 levels, right? And so that first level is at Career Clarity. It's a VIP. And I do
Mm-hmm,
that as an intensive and also do that as a 3-week course, right? So
mm-hmm.
in intensive, of course, it's just might as well say 3 weeks. You're just getting it all in one, in one bang for the, for the moment, because sometimes people don't want to wait to 3 months to get that transition. They want that transition like now, and they just want to go ahead and knock that out of the way. And so that's that first tier. That's where we work on that voice, that identity, and that purpose, right? The second tier, which is what is this on special for the month of May, that's a career makeover. That's that VIP career makeover and pivot. And this is where I work with them so that they have crystal clear vision, clarity on the vision of what they want to do, right? And what they want to do, they match it up to the financial aims to be sure that that's a connect there, because people do worry about doing a career transition and getting less and losing their financial stability. So you don't have to if you plan for the stuff ahead, right? And so basically under that vision piece of that, they're creating a practical pathway to reach their big goals in a way that's simple and doable. And also because it's a VIP, so it's a vision, it's intention, and it's power. And that intention piece of it, right? This is where they are setting powerful intentions, and they're deciding on the values to be sure their values are congruent with their passion and with their purpose. And so they can line it up with the career, because it's possible if you think about it, but you have to know, you got to have that clarity around the career and clarity around your values, your purpose, and your passion. And then that P for this VIP at this level is for power. Own your gifts, own your talent, right? And innate self-worth, so you feel empowered and competent to deliver at your best, whether you're delivering to a hiring manager. And
Mm-hmm.
about over half of the ladies that come to me for career transition because they want another position or they want a promotion or they're trying to hold on to their job, over half of them end up founding their business with me by the time they leave. It was
For real?
it wasn't on the
Really?
radar, but they all did it, because once you coach them to confidence and understanding that their own competency, what their strengths and abilities are, it opens the door and they go, this has been on the back burner for like 7 years or 10 years or 5 years. And so they do both, because entrepreneurship is not an all or none deal. I had my counseling business for 10 and a half years before I
Mm-hmm.
made that leap into entrepreneurship. So you can build both. You can build a career working for corporate or a nonprofit or what have you, or in someone else's small business. And you can found your own business and build till you're at the point where you're comfortable and you're ready to say, hey, I'm working for myself now. I'm doing this. And so that's a level that I have, this month at VIP career makeover and pivot. It's for those women who know they want to pivot to something else. Sometimes they need a makeover because it's a 180-degree pivot from what they're doing. But I tell my clients, we don't throw away talents and skills. Just because you did something, we're not throwing all that away, because it's wrapped up in it. You use that to build who you are now and to pivot. And again, I have 10 career changes, right? Career changes, not job changes. I have 10 career changes under my belt, 10. And I've only done a lateral twice. Every job I've ever had was a step up outside that first one, because I messed that up. Transition from the military. That's right. That's why I'm here now, is so that people don't mess up those transitions, so they have to dig out of poverty. But yes, you can. People get 5K raises, people get 10K raises, and people leave their job and they go into entrepreneurship. It's your choice. So if you need to pivot from that, because a lot of people realize with the pandemic, over 57% of women were saying, I want to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them feel like this job makes this amount of money. I'm never going to find something else that pays this amount. Well, I did. I mean, I left a 6-figure job for a 6-figure business
Nice.
and do it.
So you made that lateral move.
That was technically it was a lateral. I make a
What,
little
what,
bit
what
more.
is it, like a lateral shift?
For me, it was just a pivot from, because actually I was a financial management analyst for the federal government. So it was a
Mm-hmm.
shift, because I
Mm-hmm.
don't do any of that now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously in my business, in my books, I do, but that was a complete pivot for me completely. I don't do any of that now. Right. And so for some people, it is a total pivot, but they're afraid to make the pivot because they don't know how to look at those transferable skills. And then here's what I like to do. Here's what I don't like to do. And what I like to do, here's a job that fits what I like to do. People are afraid of that they're going to get it wrong, or they just don't
Why?
know how to do it.
What do you
It's,
think the anxiety is around? Because I've noticed that uh, because of the pandemic, a lot of women are becoming entrepreneurs and they're making that shift. But why is it that you think there's so much fear and anxiety around the transition? Is it fear of the unknown?
it's change. For some of us, like for me, I changed careers about every 3 to 5 years. Number one, I grew up like that. My dad moved every 3 to 5 years, and I just kind of figured that was my issue. The reason why I was changing careers every 2, 3, 5 years. However, my business coach, we sat down, I did a values exercise and realized that one of my values was variety. And I needed variety in my job. So that's why I'm an anomaly. Anomaly. I'm a Gen Xer, but I like to change my jobs every 2, 3 years. Right? Even though I
Mm,
grew up under that model, get a job, get an education, find a job, stay 30 years and retire. That's the model I was trained on. That's the model I grew up with. But it didn't fit me because I like to change jobs every 2, 3, or 5 years. Right.
that
But for the
makes,
people that
well,
stayed, to your question, the people that stayed 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they're on autopilot. Their brain has been trained to do whatever it is they're doing. They're on autopilot. You have to take yourself off autopilot to change. And that subconscious brain doesn't like change. You're going to do what? We've been here 15 years. You want to do who? Why you want to change? You know, it's scary out there. You know, this may not work for you. That reptilian brain, it just likes safe or unsafe. It doesn't even care if you're happy or not. Because I know people that are in job 15 years and they despise the job. They're unhappy, but they're too afraid to change. Autopilot, being on autopilot, that part of your brain is safe or unsafe. Doing something you've known for 10 or 15 years is safe. That part of your brain doesn't care if you're unhappy. Right? It is your limbic system, that limbic brain that talks about emotions, right? Emotes. That's where emotion lies, not in that reptilian brain. So if you're on autopilot, and most people are, they're on autopilot. When they think about changing, that brain's like, oh no, you don't want to do that. That's unsafe. I don't know what's out there. I've never been trained to do that. You can't. Oh no, you cannot do that. Absolutely not. So until you jar yourself, shake yourself, start envisioning what can be better, because your reptilian brain is only safe, unsafe. That's all it knows. Safe, unsafe, not change. Doesn't want to change. So you have to start envisioning and asking yourself questions. See yourself doing something else. And you can do all of that without ever looking at another job description. You can do all that without even updating your resume first. You are actually in transition, and most people don't know this. You're actually in career transition when you start wondering, is there something else I want to do? You're already in career transition. It's just that easy.
oh my gosh. Well, Dr. Twanna, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for the information, for sharing your story and journey. If someone would like to connect with you and to hire you as their coach, how would they connect with you?
So the best way is to reach out to me on my email, and I'll say it and then I'll spell it. It's Twanna@TwannaCarter.com. Twanna being spelled T as in Tango, W as in Whiskey, A as in Alpha, that phonetic alphabet, N as in November, N as in November, A as in Alpha, at T as in Tango, W as in Whiskey, A as in Alpha, N as in November, N as in November, A as in Alpha, Carter, just like Jimmy Carter.com. So it's Twannacarter.com. Now, you can also find me on Facebook and social media. If you pop my name in there, all of my social media pops up. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of it will pop up if you put my name and Google my name.
Okay, then. Now, one more question. Have you written any books at this time?
So I do have my dissertation, which is on the resilience of National Guard and Reserve spouses, right? And I have a new ebook that's coming out fairly soon. I'm pretty excited about that. It's Job Offers 101, everything you've always wanted to know. It is about a week or so from being finished. And also I have written a book on social anxiety. I might be crazy. That kind of details my journey through with social anxiety and coming and being able to manage it. Because again, we don't cure it, but being able to manage it. And so I've written a book, but I'm going to get with my coach and sit down and restructure and do some things to that. So that's my goal for this year. That's on my goal sheet there, or my intentions, I should say. You can do goals or intentions, and I kind of am pivoting more towards intentions. They make me more gentler and compassionate with myself.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so very much for your time. Honor and respect, honor and respect. And you're welcome back anytime. And let's say thank you, everyone, for joining and for listening. And Dr. Twanna, don't go away. Okay. Have a good day, everyone.